former pit boss with 15 years on the casino floor just revealed something that could fundamentally change how you think about gambling. According to this insider, casinos don't just track how much you bet or how long you play. They actively monitor specific types of players who use strategies and behaviors that make management genuinely nervous. We're talking about documented cases of players being flagged in casino databases, having their photographs circulated to other properties, and in some cases, being outright banned despite never breaking a single law. What these insiders are saying will shock you because it turns out there are 8 specific player types that casinos actually fear. Player number 6 has been permanently banned from multiple Las Vegas properties, and wait until you hear what player number 8 did that resulted in criminal prosecution. Player number 1 is the meticulous bankroll manager. This is the player who walks into a casino with a predetermined loss limit and actually has the discipline to follow it. According to a former casino host who worked at a major strip property, there's surveillance footage that perfectly illustrates why casinos dislike these players. The video shows a woman we'll call Margaret sitting at a Buffalo slot machine that was paying well. She'd been playing for about 90 minutes and the machine had just given her a decent bonus round. But here's what happened next. Margaret looked at her player tracking card, checked her watch, collected her ticket, and simply walked away from the machine. Why would she do this? Because according to the time stamp on the footage, she had just hit her self-imposed $200 loss limit for the day. The machine was hot, she was in a good bonus cycle, but she left anyway. The casino host who shared this story explained something revealing. Players like Margaret are classified in internal casino systems as unprofitable long-term, specifically because they never chase their losses. Documentation from casino analytics departments shows that players who maintain strict bankroll discipline have a lifetime value that's 60 to 70% lower than average players. That's a massive difference in profitability. Here's what makes this particularly interesting from the casino's perspective. Every single element of casino design, from the absence of clocks on the walls to the complimentary alcoholic beverages to the deliberately maze-like floor layouts, is engineered specifically to undermine the kind of discipline Margaret demonstrated. Former casino designers have admitted in industry publications that the entire environment is constructed to make people lose track of time, lower their inhibitions, and most importantly, make impulsive decisions about continuing to play. Casinos generate the bulk of their profits from players who experience what's called loss-chasing behavior. This is when someone loses their initial bankroll and then makes the critical emotional decision to withdraw more money from the ATM or use a credit card cash advance because they want to win back what they've already lost. Internal casino reports indicate that this behavior is where the real money is made. But players with ironclad bankroll discipline never enter that cycle. They accept their losses, they walk away, and they come back another day with a fresh budget. What makes casino management particularly concerned about these players is that this behavior is completely legal, can't be prevented, and if it ever became widespread among the general gambling population, would fundamentally damage casino profit margins. But if you think casinos simply dislike disciplined players, wait until you hear about player number 2, the advantage player who counts cards. This is the classic scenario that most people have heard about but don't fully understand. A former dealer at a major Atlantic City casino described watching a player we'll call James systematically work his way through a 6-deck blackjack shoe over the course of approximately 6 hours. What made this session noteworthy was that James appeared to have an almost supernatural ability to know when to increase his bets. When the count was unfavorable, James would bet the table minimum of $25. But when the remaining cards in the shoe were rich with tens and aces, James would suddenly jump his bet to $300 per hand. According to the dealer's account, James walked away from that session with nearly $12,000. Here's why casinos genuinely fear players like James. A former pit boss explained that card counting, when executed properly, can reduce the house edge in blackjack to nearly zero or in optimal conditions, actually give the player a slight mathematical advantage. The MIT Blackjack team documentaries provide extensively verified evidence of how counting systems like the high-low method or the KO count can be used to beat the house consistently over time. But here's the thing that most people don't understand. Card counting is completely legal. Players aren't using any devices, they're not marking cards, they're not colluding with dealers. They're simply using their memory and mathematical skills to track which cards have been played and adjust their betting accordingly based on probability. However, and this is the critical point, casinos can ban you anyway. Private property rights give casinos the legal authority to refuse service to anyone as long as it's not discriminatory. Former advantage players have described the experience of being backed off, which is when pit bosses or security personnel politely but firmly inform you that you're welcome to play any game except blackjack, or in more severe cases, that you need to leave the property entirely. According to insider reports, major casino corporations maintain databases with facial recognition integration that can identify known card counters when they walk through the door. These photographs get circulated between properties and even shared across different casino companies. Casinos have invested millions in countermeasures specifically designed to combat card counters, including continuous shuffling machines that eliminate the ability to count effectively, increased dealer training to spot counting behavior and distract suspected counters with conversation, and sophisticated shuffle tracking protocols. One former Advantage player described having his photo added to a Griffin book, which was a private database of Advantage players circulated throughout the industry before it was shut down due to legal issues. Even though counting cards requires significant skill, practice, and mental discipline, the fact that it's a proven method for gaining an edge over the house makes it a casino management nightmare scenario. And speaking of players who use mathematical systems against the house, player number 3 has found an entirely different way to extract value. Player number 3 is the promotional vulture. These are the players who have mastered the art of gambling using exclusively casino promotional money, free play credits, and complimentary offers while spending virtually nothing of their own funds. Documentation from a former casino host at a tribal property in Connecticut includes a fascinating story about a player the staff nicknamed the Ghost. This player would appear like clockwork whenever the casino launched a new member promotion. Sign up for a player's club card using slightly varied personal information, claim whatever free play or bonus credits were being offered, meet the minimum playthrough requirements with mathematical precision, cash out any winnings and then disappear completely. According to the host's records, the Ghost visited their property 4 separate times over 18 months, each time coinciding with a major promotional period, and each time walking away with between $800 and $1,500 in value while risking minimal personal money. What makes promotional vultures particularly problematic from the casino's perspective is that marketing budgets are specifically designed to attract players who will then transition to using their own funds for extended gambling sessions. The entire promotional strategy is built on the concept of getting people through the door with free money and then converting them into profitable long-term customers. But players like the Ghost never make that conversion. They understand exactly how to extract maximum value from every bonus offer, free slot play credit, birthday promotion, and loss rebate program without ever becoming the profitable players these promotions are designed to create. A former marketing director at a major Las Vegas Strip resort revealed something particularly telling. According to internal tracking data, the casino identified a subset of approximately 200 players who were extracting between $15,000 and $25,000 annually in promotional value while spending less than $3,000 of their own money. These players had systematically gamed every aspect of the casino's marketing program. They knew which day of the week offered the best free play multipliers, they understood exactly how much coin-in was required to qualify for various tier status benefits, they strategically timed their play to maximize loss rebate offers, and they even figured out how to qualify for complimentary cruise packages and concert tickets while maintaining minimal actual financial risk. One particularly sophisticated promotional vulture maintained detailed spreadsheets, according to a casino analyst who reviewed the player's account activity during an internal audit. This individual had visited over 30 different casino properties in a single calendar year, collected every available new member sign-up bonus from each location, completed the required playthrough minimums using optimal low-volatility betting strategies that minimized variance, cashed out any remaining balance, and never returned to any of those properties again. The total value extracted was estimated at over $40,000, with the player's actual money at risk never exceeding around $5,000 across all those sessions. According to internal casino reports obtained by gaming industry publications, casinos have started implementing sophisticated tracking protocols specifically to identify promotional vultures. Player accounts are now flagged when they show certain behavioral patterns, including only visiting during promotional periods, meeting playthrough requirements but never exceeding them, consistently cashing out rather than continuing to play, and showing no engagement with full-price gaming outside of bonus offers. Once identified, these players typically see their promotional offers dramatically reduced or eliminated entirely. What makes casino management genuinely nervous about these players is their complete immunity to the psychological mechanisms that work on typical gamblers. Promotional vultures don't care about the excitement of the games, they're not chasing wins, they're not susceptible to near-miss programming or bonus round anticipation. They view the entire casino experience as a purely mathematical arbitrage opportunity, extracting guaranteed value from marketing budgets the same way an investor might exploit a pricing inefficiency in financial markets. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Player number 4 has actually gotten casinos to change their operational policies. These are the patient progressive jackpot hunters, and they represent a fascinating category of advantage play. A former slot technician at a downtown Las Vegas property described a group of 3 players the staff called the mathematicians. These individuals would enter the casino with notebooks and systematically walk the entire slot floor, examining every progressive jackpot machine, recording the current meter levels, and comparing those numbers against data they'd apparently compiled over months of observation. Here's what made their approach so concerning to casino management. Progressive slot machines and certain table games with progressive jackpots have a unique mathematical characteristic. Unlike regular slots with fixed pay tables, progressives increase their top prize with every bet placed until someone hits the jackpot. This means that theoretically, at some specific dollar amount, the jackpot becomes large enough that the machine's expected value crosses from negative to positive. These players had calculated those precise threshold numbers for various machines and would only play when the meters exceeded those break-even points. According to insider reports from gaming analysts, certain wide-area progressive machines like Megabucks or networked Wheel of Fortune slots can reach positive expected value territory when their jackpots climb high enough, though the exact numbers are proprietary information carefully guarded by manufacturers. One documented case involved a player who tracked a specific Caribbean stud poker progressive jackpot table for nearly 3 months, visiting the casino almost daily but never actually playing. The progressive meter for this particular game started at $250,000, an increment based on a percentage of every ante-bet placed by all players. This individual had apparently calculated that the game became profitable for the player at approximately $415,000 based on the probability of hitting the royal flush in spades required to win the progressive. According to Pit Boss reports, this player finally sat down when the meter exceeded $438,000, played for approximately 6 hours, hit the qualifying hand, collected the jackpot, and never played that game again at any stakes. A former casino manager admitted in a gaming industry conference presentation that properties have responded to progressive hunters by adjusting how these games are configured. Starting meter amounts have been lowered on many machines, the percentage of each bet that contributes to the meter has been reduced, and some casinos have even implemented maximum caps on certain progressives to prevent them from reaching theoretical positive expected value thresholds. What makes progressive hunters particularly difficult for casinos to combat is that coordinated teams have emerged who camp near high-meter machines waiting for opportunities. Surveillance footage obtained through Freedom of Information requests shows something that genuinely concerns casino security directors. Multiple individuals are visible entering a blackjack pit, but instead of immediately sitting down, they position themselves behind occupied tables, appearing to watch the action casually while nursing cocktails. These individuals maintain what looks like casual interest for 20 or 30 minutes, never placing a bet, occasionally checking their phones, and then either walking away or suddenly sitting down at a specific table with maximum bet chips already in hand. According to a former surveillance director at a major Reno property, this is the signature of player number 5, the team player using coordinated strategy, and it represents one of the most sophisticated forms of advantage play that casinos face. The back-counting technique, sometimes called Wonging after Blackjack author Stanford Wong, involves team members who count cards while standing behind tables without actually playing. When the count becomes sufficiently favorable, they signal to a big player who swoops in and places large bets during the advantageous portion of the shoe. What makes this approach so effective is that the big player appears to be a typical high roller making seemingly random large bets, while the counters maintain the appearance of casual observers who never risk significant money themselves. A training video used by casino security departments features footage of a 4-person team that operated in Atlantic City for 14 months before being identified. The video shows how the team rotated positions, used subtle signals including specific drink placements and chip handling gestures, and coordinated their movements across multiple table games to mask their collaboration. According to internal casino reports, this particular team was estimated to have extracted approximately $340,000 before pattern recognition software finally flagged the correlation between the big players' arrival timing and favorable deck compositions. Former pit supervisors describe being specifically trained to watch for players who seem more interested in other tables than their own game. According to testimony in various advantage play court cases, casinos now employ numerous countermeasures including RFID chip tracking that can identify when the same chips move between players, suggesting bankroll sharing, advanced camera systems with facial recognition that can track player movements across different table games, and sophisticated software that analyzes betting patterns across multiple players simultaneously to identify statistical correlations. One former casino security consultant explained that modern surveillance systems can now track what they call player proximity networks, identifying when the same groups of individuals consistently appear in casinos together even if they never directly interact on camera. But here's what makes team play even more concerning to casino management according to insider reports. The strategy provides not just mathematical advantage but also emotional discipline that individual players often lack. Team members can enforce stop-loss limits on each other, prevent individual players from tilting or making emotional decisions after losing hands, and maintain the systematic approach required for advantage play to work over extended sessions. Documentation from gaming enforcement agencies shows that successful teams often include a designated manager who never actually plays but coordinates the operation, tracking results across all team members and making strategic decisions about which properties to target and when to exit. The legal status of team play exists in a complicated gray area according to gaming attorneys. The play itself typically doesn't involve any illegal activity, but casinos aggressively pursue trespassing charges if team members return after being banned, and some jurisdictions have prosecuted teams under fraud statutes arguing that the coordination itself constitutes a form of deception. What's particularly interesting from the casino perspective is how technology has changed team dynamics according to a former pit manager. Online gambling forums and advantage play communities now coordinate information about which properties have favorable conditions, which dealers are most likely to expose cards, and which surveillance teams are most sophisticated. Some advantage play networks have become so organized that they operate like professional consulting firms, with newer players paying experienced teams for training and mentorship. Internal casino documents from major gaming conferences show that properties have responded by sharing information across corporate boundaries in ways that would have been unthinkable 20 years ago. Competing casinos now maintain joint databases of suspected team players, share surveillance footage through secure networks, and even coordinate responses to prevent teams from simply moving between properties. One former Gaming Commission investigator described testifying in a case where a team had been tracked across 7 different states and 12 different casino properties over an 18-month period, with security departments building a comprehensive case file that included hundreds of hours of surveillance footage, betting records, and documented communications between team members. And if you think coordinated teams represent sophisticated advantage play, player number 6 is going to shock you, because this approach has generated multiple lawsuits that reached state supreme courts and involved millions of dollars in disputed winnings. This player type exploits something casinos are supposed to prevent but sometimes fail to control: dealer errors and procedural weaknesses, and the legal battles over whether this constitutes legitimate play or fraud have created precedents that continue to reshape gaming law. Before I reveal player number 7, I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the channel, because you're learning information that casinos literally train their staff to watch for. This isn't general gambling advice you can find anywhere. These are specific player behaviors that show up in internal casino training manuals and security briefings. And let me know in the comments, have you ever been backed off or asked to leave a casino? What happened? Because what I'm about to share next is probably the most controversial player type on this entire list, and understanding why casinos fear these individuals could fundamentally change how you think about casino promotions and tournaments. Player number 7 is the tournament specialist. Now, most casual gamblers think of casino tournaments as just entertainment, another way to gamble with some competitive excitement added. But here's something most people don't know. According to gaming mathematicians and professional gamblers who've analyzed tournament structures, casino tournaments can actually have positive expected value for skilled players. A former tournament director at a major Atlantic City property shared a fascinating story about a player the staff called the specialist, an individual who traveled the country playing exclusively tournaments and never touched a single cash game on the casino floor. This player maintained detailed spreadsheets tracking every tournament offered across multiple states, analyzing entry fees against prize pool guarantees, calculating overlay situations where the casino was essentially subsidizing prize money, and identifying tournaments with small enough fields that a skilled player's edge became significant. According to the tournament director, the specialist would show up for a weekend slot tournament, pay the $400 entry fee, play the tournament format with obvious experience and strategy, frequently cash in the top positions, collect comps and tier credits for the entry fee, and then leave the property without playing a single hand of cash blackjack or pulling a single slot machine handle outside the tournament structure. Here's why this matters from the casino's perspective. Tournament mathematics work completely differently than house advantage games. In a typical slot tournament, players pay an entry fee and receive a fixed number of credits on designated machines during timed sessions. The credits have no cash value, players can't lose more than their entry fee, and prizes are awarded based on ranking against other participants rather than against a house edge. According to gaming mathematicians who've published analyses in gambling theory journals, a skilled player in the right tournament can have a return on investment of 15 to 30% over time. Compare that to typical slot machines with house edges of 8 to 15% working against the player, and you can see why tournaments represent a completely different mathematical proposition. Real examples from the professional tournament circuit illustrate this advantage clearly. World Series of Poker satellite tournaments frequently offer seats worth $10,000 for entry fees of $1,000 or less, creating immediate value for players skilled enough to win at higher than random frequencies. Major casino properties run slot tournaments with entry fees of $300 to $500 but guaranteed prize pools of $50,000 to $100,000, and if the tournament fails to attract enough entries, the casino absorbs the difference as overlay. Blackjack tournaments with rebuy structures sometimes create situations where skilled players can identify mathematical advantages in risk-taking during final hands that recreational players simply don't recognize. One documented case from a former casino host's records shows a player who spent $45,000 in tournament entry fees over a calendar year but cashed out $73,000 in prize money, generating a $28,000 profit. But here's where it gets really clever from the player's perspective. That $45,000 in entry fees also generated substantial comp dollars and tier status credits in the casino's player tracking system. The player earned enough points to receive complimentary hotel rooms for future visits, free meals at casino restaurants, and invitations to additional tournaments, all while spending minimal money on actual house advantage games. According to internal casino analysis obtained through gaming industry publications, dedicated tournament players have negative lifetime value despite appearing to be active valuable players in database systems. The casino sees the entry fees and assumes this player is a serious gambler, but the actual profit relationship is inverted, with the player extracting value from the casino rather than the other way around. What former casino executives admit bothers them most about tournament specialists is that tournaments are designed as loss leaders, promotional tools meant to generate excitement and attract players to the property who will then migrate to the cash games where real casino profits are made. But tournament specialists never take that bait. A professional tournament circuit actually exists according to gaming industry observers, with players who literally travel full-time playing casino tournaments as an income source, coordinating their schedules around major tournament series the way professional poker players follow the tournament calendar. Some maintain detailed databases tracking which properties offer the most favorable tournament structures, which formats provide the best risk-to-reward ratios, and which casino companies are most generous with comps relative to tournament entry fees. Casino countermeasures have evolved in response according to former casino hosts. Properties now track tournament-only players in their databases and flag accounts that show minimal cash game activity. High-value invitational tournaments, the ones with the most favorable structures and biggest overlays, now require minimum cash gameplay to qualify. Some casinos have implemented rules requiring tournament participants to have rated table game or slot play within the previous 90 days, specifically to prevent pure tournament specialists from accessing the best value opportunities. The invitation system for premium tournaments has become increasingly restricted based on player tracking data. But here's something that really bothers casino management according to internal training documents. Groups have emerged who split tournament entries strategically to guarantee someone from their team wins. In a 50-person tournament with a top-heavy payout structure, a team that enters 10 players has dramatically increased their chances of capturing first-place money, and they can share winnings afterward to reduce individual variance. Casinos have responded with anti-collusion policies, restricted seating arrangements, and rules prohibiting known associates from playing at the same tournament tables. Some properties now require players to sign agreements stating they're entering as individuals and not as part of coordinated groups. Real consequences exist for players identified as tournament-only specialists. Multiple players have described having their invitations to premium tournaments revoked, their players' club accounts restricted from certain promotions, and in extreme cases, being told their tournament play is no longer welcome. The psychological immunity these players demonstrate particularly concerns casino managers. Former floor supervisors explain that tournament players are completely insulated from normal casino psychology because they're playing structured formats with fixed maximum losses. There's no opportunity for the casino to exploit loss-chasing behavior, no chance the player will hit an ATM after burning through their bankroll, No possibility of the emotional spiral that generates real casino profits. Modern trends have expanded the tournament specialist opportunity according to advantage play communities. Online casino apps now offer tournament qualifiers with minimal entry fees and significant prize pools. Cryptocurrency gambling sites have emerged with tournament structures that offer even more favorable mathematics for skilled players. International tournament tourism has developed with players traveling to jurisdictions with particularly generous tournament regulations. Industry response documents from casino gaming conferences show this is a topic of serious executive concern. Panel discussions specifically address the question of how to make tournaments profitable when a subset of players has learned to extract value without providing the expected return through cash gameplay. Some gaming companies have reduced their tournament offerings entirely, others have restructured prize pools to reduce overlay situations, and major corporations have implemented sophisticated player tracking specifically to identify and limit tournament specialists. What tournament specialists represent from the casino's perspective is everything the house fears: disciplined players with mathematical knowledge, fixed risk tolerance, and complete immunity to the psychological manipulation that makes casino gambling profitable. The cruel irony is that casinos created tournaments to generate excitement and attract players, and now there's an entire category of individuals who've turned the tables, treating tournaments as a source of consistent value extraction rather than entertainment expense. And now we're at the final player on this list. This one is so concerning to casinos that several major properties have actually lobbied for regulation changes, and the story involves criminal prosecution, overturned convictions, and a legal gray area that still hasn't been fully resolved by courts. What player number 8 discovered created an arms race between casinos and advantage players that continues escalating to this day. Player number 8 is the machine glitch exploiter, and this story begins with what seemed like an accident that turned into the most sophisticated advantage play scheme in modern casino history. A former slot technician at a regional Nevada casino described what happened when a player discovered something that would eventually lead to criminal charges, overturned convictions, and a fundamental change in how gaming manufacturers approach software security. The player, who we'll call John, was playing a Game King video poker machine, one of those multi-game units that offers dozens of different poker variations on a single terminal. During a routine session, John accidentally triggered an unusual sequence. He'd been playing triple-double bonus poker, built up his credits to around $800, then switched to a different game variant while leaving his credits on the machine. When he returned to triple-double bonus, something strange happened. The machine displayed the previous game's pay table for a brief moment before correcting itself. Most players would have ignored this momentary glitch, assuming it was just a harmless display error. John didn't ignore it. According to court documents filed in the subsequent prosecution, John spent the next several days methodically testing this behavior, determining that under very specific circumstances involving game switching, credit manipulation, and a precise sequence of button presses, he could make the machine pay according to an incorrect pay table. The mathematics of what he'd discovered were staggering. By triggering this glitch, John could guarantee maximum payouts on hands that should have paid considerably less. He was essentially printing money. The machine would accept his bets, deal cards according to normal video poker rules, but pay wins according to a corrupted pay table that made every significant hand pay as if he'd bet maximum credits on the highest paying game variant, regardless of what he'd actually wagered. Court records show that John and his girlfriend exploited this glitch systematically over several weeks, winning more than $500,000 across multiple properties before casino security noticed the pattern. What finally triggered investigation wasn't suspicious play behavior but rather the statistical impossibility of their win rate. Surveillance analysts reviewing routine reports noticed that the same players were hitting royal flushes and other premium hands at frequencies that defied probability. When security pulled footage and examined the specific machines, they discovered the exploitation. The arrests came quickly, followed by prosecution under Nevada gaming fraud statutes. But here's where the story gets legally complicated in ways that terrify casino management. John's defense argued that he hadn't physically altered the machine, hadn't used any external devices, hadn't hacked into any computer systems, and hadn't conspired with casino employees. He'd simply pressed buttons on a game that was offered to the public and played it as presented. The machine accepted his bets, dealt his cards and paid his wins. How could pressing buttons in a particular sequence on a machine specifically designed to be played by pressing buttons constitute fraud? The initial conviction was eventually overturned on appeal, though prosecutors filed new charges under different statutes, creating a legal mess that took years to resolve. Gaming attorneys who've analyzed this case explain that the legal questions it raised remain partially unresolved across different jurisdictions. What makes casino executives genuinely fearful about machine glitch exploitation is the scale of vulnerability, according to a former Gaming Commission investigator. Modern slot machines and video poker terminals are essentially computers running complex software, and computers have bugs. Gaming manufacturers conduct extensive testing, and regulatory bodies require certification before any machine hits a casino floor, but the mathematical reality is that complex software systems inevitably contain exploitable errors. Other documented cases have emerged over the years. Slot machines that paid incorrect amounts due to programming errors in bonus calculation algorithms. Blackjack electronic tables where the random number generator had a predictable flaw that skilled players could exploit. Video poker games where specific rare combinations triggered pay table corruption similar to the Game King situation. Each incident represents a nightmare scenario for casinos because the financial exposure is essentially unlimited until the bug is discovered and patched. But what really keeps security directors awake at night, according to insider reports, is the bug hunting community. Online forums and advantage play networks have emerged where players share information about potential machine vulnerabilities. Some individuals have developed technical expertise in gaming software and actively search for exploitable glitches the way security researchers hunt for bugs in commercial software. When someone discovers a potentially exploitable machine behavior, information can spread rapidly through these networks before casinos even know a problem exists. Surveillance response has become increasingly sophisticated, according to casino security consultants. Advanced analytic systems now monitor for unusual winning patterns that might indicate glitch exploitation. Any player showing statistically improbable results triggers immediate investigation. Software security protocols have been completely overhauled across the gaming industry. Manufacturers now implement bug bounty programs similar to technology companies, paying security researchers to identify vulnerabilities before they can be exploited. Testing protocols have been expanded dramatically with both automated and manual examination of millions of possible game state combinations. Rapid patch deployment systems allow manufacturers to push software updates across entire casino floors within hours when a vulnerability is identified. Real-world consequences for players caught exploiting glitches remain severe despite the legal gray areas. Multiple cases have resulted in arrests, prosecutions, and convictions, though outcomes vary significantly by jurisdiction. Winnings are typically confiscated immediately, with casinos arguing that money won through glitch exploitation represents proceeds of fraud. Some states treat machine exploitation as computer fraud regardless of whether physical tampering occurred, while other jurisdictions struggle to prosecute cases where players simply pressed buttons on machines as presented. The cat-and-mouse game continues escalating, according to gaming industry observers. Casino security estimates suggest that new machine software is analyzed by advantage players within weeks of deployment, with technically sophisticated individuals examining game behaviors searching for exploitable patterns. These players combine programming knowledge with extraordinary patience, sometimes playing thousands of games looking for anomalous behaviors that might indicate underlying bugs. As casinos transition to more software-based gaming systems, server-based slot networks, and electronic table games, the attack surface expands exponentially. Every line of code represents a potential vulnerability, and the increasing complexity of modern gaming systems makes comprehensive testing increasingly difficult. One former slot director stated in sworn testimony that the gaming industry is engaged in an arms race with players who have programming expertise, and the fundamental tension between complex entertaining game features and bulletproof security may be impossible to fully resolve. The Pandora's box problem represents the ultimate fear. Once a glitch is discovered and information spreads through advantage play networks, casinos face a narrow window before multiple players simultaneously exploit the same vulnerability across different properties. Documentation exists of specific incidents where glitch information went viral online, resulting in dozens of players exploiting identical bugs across multiple states before manufacturers could deploy patches. The patching logistics create additional exposure because slot machines can't be updated instantly. Depending on regulatory requirements and technical constraints, deploying fixes across an entire casino floor can take days or weeks, during which time the property remains vulnerable to informed players. Casino security directors admit in internal communications that they operate in constant fear of the next Game King scenario, a widely deployed machine with an exploitable glitch that could cost the industry millions before it's even detected. This represents the ultimate nightmare for casino management, a player type that can't be psychologically manipulated, operates with complete mathematical certainty rather than hope, and exploits the very technology casinos have invested billions deploying to increase efficiency and engagement. So there you have it, the 8 types of players that casino management actually fears, and understanding what makes these individuals dangerous from the house perspective reveals something fundamental about how casinos actually operate. Let's recap what we've covered, because each of these player types represents a specific threat to casino profitability. Player number 1, the meticulous bankroll manager, demonstrates the discipline that casino environments are specifically designed to undermine. These players set limits and actually follow them, making them unprofitable over time because they never enter the loss-chasing cycle where real casino money gets made. Player number 2, the card counter, uses pure mathematics to eliminate or even reverse the house edge in Blackjack, which is why casinos have invested millions in facial recognition systems, continuous shuffling machines, and dealer training specifically to combat this entirely legal approach. Player number 3, the promotional vulture, has mastered the art of extracting value from casino marketing budgets without ever becoming the profitable long-term player these promotions are designed to create. Player number 4, the progressive hunter, waits patiently for jackpot meters to reach positive expected value thresholds and only plays when the mathematics actually favor the player. Player number 5, the team player, coordinates with others to mask advantage play while providing emotional discipline that individual gamblers typically lack. Player number 6, the whole card player, exploits dealer errors and procedural weaknesses to gain information that provides massive mathematical advantages. Player number 7, the tournament specialist, treats tournaments as profit opportunities rather than entertainment expenses, extracting consistent value while remaining immune to the psychological manipulation that works on cash game players. And player number 8, the machine glitch exploiter, represents the ultimate casino nightmare, someone who discovers and exploits software vulnerabilities that can cost properties millions before patches can be deployed. What all these players have in common, according to multiple former casino executives consulted during research for this video, is that they refuse to play by the psychological rules casinos depend on. Every element of casino design, from the architectural layouts to the lighting systems to the complimentary beverage programs, exists to trigger emotional, impulsive decision-making. These 8 player types have somehow insulated themselves from those mechanisms, approaching gambling with mathematical discipline, systematic strategy, and complete emotional control. According to internal casino training documents and executive conference presentations, these players represent systematic approaches that directly counter the profit models the entire industry depends on. Casinos generate billions in revenue by exploiting cognitive biases, loss aversion psychology, and the human tendency to make irrational decisions under conditions of uncertainty and excitement. But these feared players have developed immunity to exactly those triggers. They use discipline when casinos expect impulse, mathematics when casinos expect emotion, and patience when casinos expect desperation. Understanding how these players think could genuinely change your entire approach to gambling, even if you never become an advantage player yourself. Now, I need to be clear about something important before we go any further. Many of these approaches exist in legal gray areas or can result in being permanently banned from casino properties. Some have resulted in criminal prosecution depending on jurisdiction and specific circumstances. The practical reality that former casino managers admit is that most people can't or won't actually play like these feared players. It requires mathematical knowledge that takes serious study to develop, discipline that most gamblers simply don't possess, significant time investment in tracking opportunities and building expertise, and complete acceptance of the possibility of being identified and banned from properties. One former casino floor manager revealed something particularly telling during an interview. He said that casino executives aren't really that worried about these players in aggregate because there are so few of them. For every card counter who gets identified and backed off, there are thousands of players drinking complimentary cocktails and chasing their losses exactly as the casino psychology intends. For every promotional vulture extracting value from marketing budgets, there are tens of thousands of players who claim their free play and then blow through hundreds of their own dollars trying to win more. The casino design is so psychologically effective that even players who intellectually understand these advantage play strategies will still play impulsively when they're actually on the floor surrounded by lights, sounds, and the emotional energy of wins and losses happening around them. However, just understanding these approaches can make you a smarter gambler even if you never count a single card or hunt a single progressive jackpot. Here's what you can learn from these 8 player types without becoming advantage players. First, Develop actual bankroll discipline by setting loss limits before you enter the casino and treating those limits as absolutely non-negotiable regardless of how you're running. Second, understand the basic mathematics of house edge, return to player percentages, and expected value so you can make informed decisions about which games offer better odds. Third, exploit promotional offers intelligently by maximizing the value of comps, free play, and bonus credits without falling into the trap of spending your own money chasing those benefits. Fourth, choose games strategically by selecting options with lower house edges like Blackjack with basic strategy instead of high-edge games like certain slot machines. And fifth, never chase losses by recognizing that money already lost is gone and that trying to win it back leads to the exponential losses where casinos make their real profits. You don't need to count cards or hunt machine glitches to be a smarter gambler. Just applying these basic principles that feared players use, discipline, mathematics, and promotional awareness, will put you ahead of 90% of casino visitors who approach gambling purely emotionally. If this video opened your eyes to how casinos really think about different types of players, please subscribe to the channel because I'm going to keep sharing insider information that casinos would prefer you didn't know. Drop a comment and let me know which of these 8 player types surprised you most, and be honest, which one do you think you could actually become?